What's up, sports bettors? I know I've given out a ton of NFL bets kind of over the course of the week. So we have over 46 in Steelers Bills, under 43.5 Titans Commanders, over 44.5 in Seahawks Saints. But today we're going to be talking more about player props. So I'm going to be discussing with you some of the player prop bets I really like, as well as strategies to make money betting on player props. So if you're new to the OddsJam YouTube, we really try to focus this channel, not only on giving you sharp picks that are going to make you money in the long run, but also kind of on discussing the strategies that the pros use, the sharp bettors use, people who do this for a living use to make money sports betting, right? Cutting through the fluff, a lot of the BS. You see all these sports books marketing crazy 10-leg parlays. That's not the way people who make hundreds of thousands of dollars betting on sports every year do it. They don't place crazy 10-leg parlays. That's not how they're making money. They're finding an edge, and they're consistently placing bets with an edge, and they're winning in the long run, right? That's how you make money sports betting. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. So OddsJam has a bunch of free tools, which is pretty cool, that allow you to browse odds, right? As a sharp sports bettor, you should always be looking at data. You should care more about the math than the sports. You should care more about the markets than the sports. What's so fascinating about sports betting, and it doesn't matter what sport you're betting on, what market you're betting on, is you have all these different bookmakers trying to price essentially the same asset independently. So what do I mean by that? For Saquon Barkley, in the Packers-Giants game, you can see a bunch of sportsbooks have his odds posted for his over-under and player receptions. And again, this is completely free on OddsJam. Just to browse NFL odds, you can type in OddsJam NFL odds. You can see all the lines, millions of odds, updating in real time, right? What's so fascinating about, FanDuel and kind of all these platforms is just how many player props they offer. When you consider all the different things, all the alternate markets between sportsbooks, just for one game, FanDuel's probably offering, thousands of player prop odds on Bengals Ravens. But anyways, let's go ahead, let's get back into it. And let's continue to look for some sharp picks. So essentially, let's go back to Saquon, right? You have all these sports books pricing the exact same bet differently. So as an example, you have Bovada saying Saquon under 4.5 receptions should be minus 170. DraftKings has it minus 160. So Bovada, has it a bit more favored, the under, for Saquon Barkley, right? They're more juiced towards the under. They're giving you plus 130 on the over, which is what you can see right here, right? The over 4.5 receptions on Bovada, let's scroll over, is going to be plus 130. The under is minus 170, whereas on DraftKings, it's plus 120, minus 160. So Bovada's models, are more bullish on the under for Saquon receptions. Now, PointsBet is plus 115, minus 145. So they're less bullish on the under than DraftKings and Bovada. So essentially, as a sharp bettor, when I was a quant on Wall Street, it's all about data, right? You want to see as much data as possible. More data is better. You want more information, more data available when you're making your betting decisions. So I want to see all the sports books side by side. Where are they setting the line when I look for a sharp, profitable bet, right? So you can use this tool completely for free to essentially try to pick off some value, right? Find some value. So any sports books you want to bet on, what I like to do is just look for big discrepancies. Where is FanDuel, way off from the rest of the market? If I'm looking for a bet on FanDuel, hey, here, over 1.5 receptions, minus 180 on DraftKings, minus 174 on William Hill. You can get it minus 162 on FanDuel for Chase Edmonds receptions. Maybe that's something you want to go with. But long story short, what's really cool about OddsJam is there's also betting tools. So what these tools do, like the Positive EV betting tool is probably the most popular tool on OddsJam, is it just takes the millions and millions of odds on OddsJam, all updating in real time. This is just player receptions. How crazy is that? This is just for player receptions. And I have half the sportsbooks filtered out. A lot of data, a lot of odds. So what OddsJam does is it just constantly scans all these lines, updates them. And the Positive EV tool just shows you value, right? So I'm filtering by PrizePicks and Thrive Fantasy. I just want to see the fantasy sites. And the first thing you'll notice, and we're going to be placing a bunch of bets, not just one, is hey, on Thrive Fantasy, Austin Hooper over 1.5 receptions is minus 111 odds, right? So the OddsJam algorithm is picking up that, hey, this looks like a pretty good betting opportunity. So why do we like it, right? It's just math, just value. There's no BS. Just like an investor is looking for stocks on sale, mispriced, too low, whatever you want to call it, bets that are on sale are positive EV bets. Where are you getting value enough to beat the VIG, right? Sportsbooks, you go to DraftKings, the way they're monetizing you isn't by saying, hey, you just placed a bet, you owe us $3. That's not how DraftKings works, right? Sports betting is a skill-based game like poker, but the sportsbooks add in juice to their markets, a spread to their markets, which is known as the VIG, the vigorish, the juice, house edge, market edge, whatever you want to call it. And your job is to beat the 4 to 5% juice that they charge, right? It's kind of like, if you're a car salesman, you buy a car for $10,000, you try to flip it for $15,000. That's what DraftKings does, right? They're trying to get bets on the over at minus 130 and the under at plus 100 and make their little 5% spread. So as a sports bettor, that's what you're trying to beat. And because all these bookmakers are pricing the exact same asset, Austin Hooper over 1.5 receptions independently, we can use all of this data in the market to tease out and find what is a profitable bet that actually beats the VIG. And you can see right here with a 0.76% profit margin, and we've gone through how to back out your profit margin in tons of other videos, but Austin Hooper over 1.5 receptions at minus 111, is ridiculous. This bet is profitable, 0.76% edge. And again, just like be rational and think about the market, right? Sports betting. It's like Pinnacle is the sharpest bookmaker. They have this favored. Bet Online, another very sharp offshore sportsbook, has this minus 128. DraftKings has this minus 130. Caesars has this minus 129. So clearly getting minus 111 is pretty great value. So I went with that play, and then I went with Damian Harris over 58.5 rushing yards. So if we scroll over to Thrive and I go to my props, what you'll notice is like, hey, and I already have a bunch open, which you can see right here, Antonio Gibson, under 45.5 rushing yards. But I just locked in Damian Harris, so Patriots running back over 58.5, Austin Hooper over 58.5. So the positive EV tool really makes it, simple, because all you do is have to select the sportsbooks you use, or you can say, yeah, show me all of them in my state, right? And then it's just going to show you profitable bets. So it's really that simple. So I'll get rid of PointsBet. I don't use PointsBet too much. And it's just going to pull up, everything and be like, hey, here's where we think the opportunity is. Hayden Hurst, right? Over 2.5 receptions, minus 138. Lamar, over 59.5 rushing yards, which we already locked in. Zach Ertz, over 49.5 receiving. So you can go ahead and kind of like filter out sportsbooks you don't use, you don't want to look at. So let's say BetMGM, we don't want to look at. And then we can kind of take a look and be like, okay, like where's the value? What plays do we like? How about under 50, in Auburn, Georgia? That seemed pretty good, starting at 330. So you can go ahead and just kind of like scan around for bets you like, bets you think are good, that kind of fit your criteria. Or you can be more like me and just follow the math and say, okay, I'm just placing the bets with the highest profit margin. Hayden Hurst over 2.5 receptions, Commanders over 20.5. And not every bet's going to win when you're positive EV betting, but you're going to win in the long run, right? That's how it works. All of your bets have a mathematical edge, so it's like finding a coin that's 53% to land on heads. It's not going to land on heads every coin flip, but it will in the long run. So that's one example of a tool. And one bet, we ended up locking in. But the next thing we can do is be like, okay, I also want to see, where there are other opportunities. So what you can do is just like, okay, like check this out right here. If we pull up PointsBet and so what a middle bet is these things are quite fascinating to me. Is what a middle bet is it's where sportsbooks are just flat out setting the line at different levels. So what you'll notice here, as an example, is you're able to get over 274 and a half passing yards for Joe Burrow at plus 108. A lot of sports books like Bet Online, like sharp offshore sports books, they have his passing yards even higher. So this just shows us, right, what this tool just shows you is like, hey, like, FanDuel, their mainline market for Joe Burrow's passing yards is 265 and a half. Most other sports books are at 272 and a half, 275 and a half. So on FanDuel, it seems like there's an opportunity possibly to go with Joe Burrow, his alternate over 275 and a half, and FanDuel logged me out, so I won't place this bet, but plus 108. That bet seems pretty good. So you can kind of use all this data to try to tease out value. Here's another one, Devin Singletary, right? FanDuel has his receiving yards line at 43 and a half, 47 and a half. Most sportsbooks have it at 51 and a half, and FanDuel offers these like alternates, right? They're called alternate spreads or alternate rushing yards. They have all these different alternates. So oftentimes that's where they screw up, right? Sportsbooks can't keep everything in check all the time. So it's really your job as a sharp bettor to find those, few spots where they are messing up and take advantage of them. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and let's make some money.